What did we just watch, y'all? What did we just watch with part 1 of this Married at First Sight reunion? Like, this thing is so messy. Oh my goodness, y'all. I'm going to jump right into the review for tonight because I strongly debated on if I even wanted to review the reunion. So I sat here, and as I watched it and started taking notes, I said, we have to talk about it. And I have a lot of notes. And I'm hoping this video is not terribly long. But y'all, what is going on? Oh gosh. Okay, let's reset. Hey y'all, it is Tasha. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time checking me out. Thank you so much for stopping by. Do not forget to hit the like button, comment in the comment section below, and also subscribe to the channel. Now let's go ahead and jump into the mess of what was part 1 of the reunion of Married at First Sight, y'all. Oh my gosh. So we start with all the couples sitting down. Everybody looks really good. Steve and Noy dressed alike. Katina got her Dora the Explorer wig on. Mark has lost weight. Everybody is looking good, okay? So Kevin asks how it's been seeing themselves on TV. Lindsey and Alyssa says it's been a learning experience. Michael said the comments of strangers kind of really get to him, especially off of a 30-second clip. Jasmina said watching herself, she felt a little bit crazy, but so far she's only had to block one person, okay? Lindsey tells us she didn't know being married would feel like 3 jobs, and Mark rolls his eyes. Olajuwon says really seeing himself was a wake-up call, and I'm just thinking it also was a wake-up call, but it made you get this huge, ugly tattoo all over your whole neck. Maybe you could have invested that money in bringing the hairline back up where it should be. Just a little observation. They flash back to a clip from the honeymoon where they really asked about the activities, that all the couples had done. And we see that Alyssa's talking to the girls and she tells them, yeah, we went and we played tennis and it was fun. And I said, the same tennis we saw when he was pointing at the buildings and talking to the producers when you said he was aggressive, that's when y'all had fun? Okay, girl. So Kevin, of course, asks her about it. She says she wasn't comfortable in the moment sharing it with everyone. And I'm like, you do realize we would all see it on TV. So why lie about it? Chris said he wasn't shocked because, she checked out so early and it was just the same thing happening with her over and over and over again. She said it was completely false, that she just wanted to be in the apartment to be with the girl. She said, we both live pretty far away. So, I figured if we were there half the time, it's only fair on the driving. Girl, you had all this time to come up with a better lie, and this is all you came up with all this time, Alyssa. Go back to the drawing board and do better the next time, okay? So Kevin asks Lindsey if the relationship not working falls on Alyssa or both of them, and she says Alyssa, and we can all agree with Lindsey on that one, okay? Olajuwon said Alyssa could have given him a chance. We then circle back around to, Lindsey talking about Steve and him not having a job, of when Noy says she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and Lindsey's like, so you want to be a one-income household and you want to be a stay-at-home mama? Okay. Steve said that he found out very early on that him and Lindsey probably was not going to get along. Steve tells us that she made additional comments that we didn't see, and really she talks trash about other people when they aren't around. So, of course, he told Noy, you can be cool with her, but I want to stay far away from that. And you probably shouldn't tell her any secrets because she probably will end up telling everyone. And Steve ends up telling us that Noy told her, I believe the first time that they had sex, and basically Lindsey is saying she didn't share it with everyone, but yet the producers and other people found out about it, and she tries to blame it on them being mic'd up when the producer said they found out from her. And I believe the producer. So Katina and Olajuwon is up first to give an update. We already know we are still together because of this ugly neck tattoo that he has. If y'all remember back when they had the whole discussion with the app being on her phone, and they came back and they had this diary cam saying, oh, we talked about it, we worked it out, we're all good. He had the tattoo on his neck at that time. The shirt that they tried to put him in tried to cover, but I'm like, you can't cover this huge tattoo on his neck. So obviously, after production started editing the footage, they realized, oh shoot, this looks really bad. So let's come back and add in a piece. Well, the tattoo of it all kind of told the story, because we hadn't seen it for the rest of the season. We hadn't seen it on the after party. And then now we're seeing it at the reunion, which we learned has been filmed 5 months later. So we knew they had to go back and refilm that scene that we saw at that time, girl. So we know they stood together. So Kevin tells them, that he he thought that they would not work out, and starts asking Olajuwon about the whole dance move at the reception. He said, I didn't think it was too much, because I needed my wife to know very early on, who she was getting married to. And Katina was like, oh, I thought it was funny. I just wanted my mama to turn around. We didn't have to revisit all the times he said he needed his wife to cook throughout the season, which we heard too many times. He said that when he watched these scenes back, he realized he needed to watch his tone, and he really can't believe he was so stern with it. And I'm like, yeah, you were pretty much an ass the whole season. He said he did some self-reflection, and really, she doesn't cook every day, and it's really not a big deal, because he realizes that she works, and, if she doesn't want to cook, they'll just go get some food. And I'm like, so now you realize that she works and she might not have the energy to cook every day, when she literally told you that, and you pretended as if her job is just for play and she doesn't really work. So of course she has all the time in the world to cook. Like, things you're telling me now that all of a sudden were a revelation to you, you're acting like these things were not brought up during the season, and you just acted like they were completely irrelevant, Olajuwon. She says that her gut told her to just be patient with him. But at one point she also wasn't sure if she was being stupid. But she tells him that, he is not for a weak person, and you really have to be solid in herself. And yes, you are all of that, Katina. But who really wants to always have a guard up, to be prepared for whatever bullets their husband may spray at them? Who wants to always feel like, girl, I got to be strong. I can't be weak. I got to put on this armor, because I don't know what this man is going to say to me, and I just got to let it bounce off of me, okay? Girl, we don't want you to have to wear vibranium all the time, okay? Like, who? Katina, okay. So Kevin asks if he can give her some validation, or if there's anything he can say in the moment to make her feel better, and that, he actually believes in her. This is clearly a setup for him to do, what he did. So he tells her all these sweet nothings. He then gets down on one knee and gives her an engagement ring, because of course he cannot let Steve show him out in giving his girl a ring. And I understand he could be completely genuine in the moment, y'all. But I just believe all of this is for show. I believe because Olajuwon loves to put on a production, I believe all of this is for show, and the chances of this truly lasting is slim to none, in my opinion. I mean, I hope he has changed for the better for the sake of Katina. If she decided that she will stay with him, till death do us part, I hope he does truly end up being a better husband for her. But Olajuwon just loves the production of it all. So all of this just looks good, that he has now had all this self-reflection. He realizes he needs to be better. He's given her a ring. Like, all of this just looks good in the moment. I don't know if I really believe it though. Okay. So Kevin tells him, of course, that he's come a long way. He says, it's a challenge to truly overcome everything. And he really, truly had the self-reflection. Time will tell, Olajuwon, but I just don't believe right now you've done a full 180 in a matter of months. I'm just a little skeptical about it. That's all. So they didn't show us a clip we didn't see with them and Pastor Cal. And he talks about her not doing things she said she would do. And it's obviously something sexual. They just laugh through it and act like they don't remember what it was they were talking about. We didn't have to talk about the dating app thing again. And Kevin asks if he overreacted. And he admits that he was wrong for bringing it up in front of everyone. And Katina said, being in the place that they are in right now, she doesn't think that would ever happen again. And I'm like, I hope not, girl. He said as he watches these clips, he just can't believe no one actually called him out. And I'm like, first of all, you're a grown man and you continue to display the same behavior over and over again. At what point do you check yourself? And sir, Dr. Pepper tried to check you, but you couldn't handle it and you wanted to be just be defensive of what she was telling you. So get out of my face with this, okay? And it's also not nobody else's responsibility to be checking you for your behavior. He says that women should be scared of the man that hides his feelings, not the man who shows himself freely. And he is happy that Katina did not listen to all the viewers that told her to run, Forrest, run, because look at where she is now. I guess that's supposed to make us all eat our words. I don't know what point he was trying to prove here, but I would still like for Katina to run, in my opinion. Yes, I would. He says he lets us know that he has sold his home because that was tied to Isaac, and Isaac is gone forever. And when asked where they see themselves in the next 5 years, they said they'll probably have kids, a dog, a pool, blah, blah, blah. Let's move on. Next up is Chris and Alyssa. And honestly, y'all, do we really care? Do we really care? No, we don't. But here we are having to talk about it. So let's go. So they came up and Chris sits down and Chris is ready to sit on the arm of the chair to get as far away from this woman as he can. And she says, before we even get started, I just want to say something. I came in here with the purest intents. And when it didn't work out for me, I kind of panicked. And she then apologizes to Chris. And she wants us all to know again that she came here for the right reasons. We heard that the whole season, Alyssa. And we still don't believe you, Alyssa. So please, let's not, bore us to death with, I did this for the right reasons. I was pure and I'm a good person. We're tired of hearing it and we didn't believe it then. We don't believe it now. Okay. Kevin asks if that means she would have given him a chance. And she says, we just weren't meant for each other. And Kevin asks again, so that means you should have given him a chance. And she says, other things happened besides the physical attraction that caused the issue. So Kevin asks for the receipts of what those other things were. She brings up the conversations yet again with the groomsmen, and she just didn't see how they were compatible because they don't share the same values and beliefs. Again, Alyssa, you've had months to think about what you were going to say, and you came with the same nonsense you came with all season that were just excuses that you piled on to then dislike this man and get away from him. Let's call a spade, okay? Chris is asked how he feels after hearing this. He said, being on the show and seeing everything is very overwhelming, and it's really no surprise that anyone would have certain feelings and certain reactions to really marrying a stranger. Like, it's a lot to go through. He says a lot of the stuff he did not see until it aired, and he would have been done a lot faster if he knew all of the stuff that she said. And I was like, let's go, Chris. Serve it to her straight, no chaser. Do not let her come on here and try to talk all sweet and then start crying and make us feel sorry for her, because it ain't happening. Well, not over here. It ain't happening, okay? Especially with this horrible spray tan that you have. Like, your skin looks pink, child. Like, you trying too hard, Alyssa. He says when she said the disgusting things, that she really wasn't worth his time anymore and no one deserves that. And I completely agree 1000%. She says she didn't know what was right and wrong. She was just spiraling and she just could not control it. Alyssa, girl, you kept saying the same things over and over again. The comments you had to say just got meaner and meaner as the days went on. So you can't tell me you didn't know right from my 7-year-old knows right from wrong. Okay, you're old enough to know right from wrong and know when you need to gather and collect yourself and act like an adult, ma'am. Quit acting like you just had no control over your body and aliens invaded you and you just didn't know what to do. Oh God. She says she went on the honeymoon because she felt like she had to when Kevin asked her. He said Chris said that when the process went from process to the experience, he was like, well, that's when the shift happened for me. And basically, she just wanted to do all the activities. And when we got back home, I knew we would be done. So Chris had already made his mind up. We just gonna go through the motions with this, and we get back home, girl, bye, okay? So then Alyssa says, white woman tears. Please enter the chat. So here they come. She gets upset because he kept saying, of course, throughout the season, she wasn't there for the right reasons because, honey, you weren't. We see that she said she hated the experts and she didn't feel like they could help her because once she felt like she couldn't trust them, she didn't want to talk to them because this was when she was having her whole meltdown on the honeymoon. They asked if she wanted to talk to the experts. She's like, no. What are they going to do? I don't want them here. I hate them. She said that they lost her trust when she didn't get what she asked for. And again, Alyssa, you based all of this off of looks because you never took the chance to really get to know this guy to find out why y'all were actually matched by the experts. You just didn't like the way he looked. Like, cut it out, girl. You can't try to clean this up now. The damage has been done. She said she cried when Chris basically said that they were getting a divorce and that was his decision day because she was sad for both of them. This didn't work out for either one of us and neither one of us deserved this. So that was just sad. Chris said, I wasn't sad. And if I could have ended it sooner, I would have. When I tell y'all I was living for Chris, I was like a proud mama bear living for Chris and him giving her all the smoke that she deserved. I'm glad he did not let his foot off of the gas. It don't matter that 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't care how many months have gone by. You showed your behind and made me feel all kinds of horrible on national TV. Checkmate. It is my turn now. Let's get the party started. So Chris says, right now he's just continuing to build his business. He's been dating and he really knows what he wants now from going through this experience. Alyssa says, she's just trying to be a better person. And I'm like, girl, but weren't you already a good person? So why you got to try if you was already a good person? Yeah, we figured that. So next up is Jasmina and Michael. They sit with Kevin. And at this point, I was like, I'm pretty sure they have called it quits. But then y'all, when they came out, their body language kind of made me think otherwise. So I had to shift my thinking and I was like, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they are still together. So this is when Kevin lets us know that it's been 5 months since decision day. And she says that she loved their wedding day. Mike said, of course, he was super, super nervous. She said basically she was kind of cool up until she put the dress on and then everything really hit her at once. But once she got to the other side, she would be fine. And then Mike said, of course, kind of seeing her cry and be a little bit nervous made him feel more comfortable because he's like, okay, she's just as nervous as I am. So, we'll be okay in this together. They talk about their struggles with communication, all the times Jasmina had to say his tone was an issue and how basically downright nasty she was those first 30 days. He said when she, was calling him aggressive, it was really intimidating because, of course, those are really that's a condescending and a triggering word, especially for a black man. She says she stands by it because people can not only be aggressive in their actions, but they be aggressive in their words. And she says really after she called him aggressive that he didn't want to speak to her for the next 30 days. And he said after that, he really felt like he couldn't speak to her because his tone would come off as aggressive. So I was like, dang, y'all wasn't kind of talking for those first 30 days? Like only talking maybe, I guess, when y'all were in scenes or experts came by. But other than that, y'all was giving each other the silent treatment for 30 days? Jeez, child. That even makes me question even more. Why the heck did y'all stay together on decision day? What? So she says she thought, their relationship would end a few times. And when Kevin asked how they got over the hump, she really said it was Dr. Viviana's activity when it really forced them to open up to each other. She said after that, she felt like she could finally be herself and felt like he could finally be himself because the vulnerability that they had been missing really was, expounded upon when they had that yoga session. Michael said he felt comfortable around her around the same time because they could really both hear each other. And that's when kind of everyone became hopeful that they could work it out. I'm not included in the everyone. I never thought they would last, but let's continue on. Kevin asks what happened since decision day, and they are still together. And they sit there, give a little drum roll. They're in silence. Kevin is like, come on, spill the beans. And she's like, well, Mike, you can go ahead and answer. So they sit in silence for a while. And Michael says that they are not together. Surprise, surprise. Didn't we call this on decision day when they decided they would stay together, but yet we would not live together? Well, y'all not going to make it, point blank in the period. Okay. He said about 2 weeks after decision day, he called her and basically said things is not working. He's not getting what he needs. So they kind of just needed to call it quits. He said he was thinking about why he was here. And other than being married and really wanting children and a future with a wife, there really wasn't any other reason that he was there. She said she believed she was putting in more than he was after the decision day, and she really initiated a lot of the daily texts. He only planned one date for them, and then they got into a really nasty argument. And she said if he didn't ask for the divorce, then she was going to ask for it. And I really would love to know what the nasty argument was about, girl, because we nosy and we invested. So let us know what was the straw that broke the camel's back, girl. Kevin says that it was never going to be romantic because he was friend zoned, and we knew he was friend zoned from day one, y'all. Then she starts to really get a little bit defensive, and Kevin tells Mike that he never felt that she was into him romantically. And she was like, I was very open about that. I said that multiple times. Matter of fact, I think I may have said that too many times. And we were like, yeah, you kind of really did, Jasmina, but you also would just contradict yourself constantly and say, oh, I am attracted to him. Oh, I do like him. And then you would flirt with him for a little bit. Like you were sending mixed signals all over the place. She says that she still says that she was attracted to him. And girl, we don't believe you. But she says she really never got compliments from Michael, even though she would tell him that he looked nice. And again, Jasmina, you never made it a really comforting and welcoming and you never made it that type of environment for him to feel like he wanted to like lean into you that way. Like, let's be honest. Nobody wants to just go through the motions and say things just because they should say things when you really aren't getting any other, actions or anything else outside of just saying the things. Like, that's not how any of this works. Kevin says that they were sitting there as if they were a couple. And like I said earlier, I agree, because I thought with the body language they was given, especially Jasmina, she was her legs were crossed towards him. There was really no space in between them. So they were kind of leaning into each other like they were still together. She says, he's a great guy. He's a great friend. Girl, we know. Kevin asked Jasmina if she's already started dating. And she says no, that, when the time comes, it will come. And when it happens, it happens. Mike is asked if, he's been dating. He says he hasn't been on any dates. And Kevin asks if he's met someone that has piqued his interest. And he keeps saying, well, I haven't been on any dates. And Kevin keeps asking, is there someone that has piqued your interest? And Mike is just beating around the bush. And I'm like, Michael, just spit it out and tell us already, okay? He says, but there is someone that has piqued his interest. And, that's what he kind of left it at for us. Kevin asks, if Jasmina will give him some advice about the dating process. And he's like, no, thank you. I have plenty of sisters. And I'm thinking, and what kind of advice would Jasmina really give him? Because she ain't got her act together either, okay? And speaking of the sisters, I want to hear from the sisters. Like, I want to know how they feel about Jasmina now that they've seen the entire season and how she was kind of treating his brother. I want to know the details because I really like the sisters. So next up is Steve and Noy. They are dressed alike, like they have just left a wedding from being a bridesmaid and a best man child. Steve said that he wished he gave her more reassurance when she told him during the honeymoon that she was starting to fall in love with him. And she lets us know that he was the first to say, I love you. So when we see that he kind of set up that little picnic or whatever for them, and he tells her that he loves her. That was the first time he had said it and she hadn't said it before then. So they share that they are still married. She hadn't officially changed her last name yet, and she hasn't decided if she will be Noi Moi. And I'm just like, girl, I don't blame you, because Noi Moi ain't necessarily where it's at, but do your thing. She said that she did keep her apartment, but they did move in together. But there are some nights, maybe like one night a week, that they do sleep separately. Steve said he really isn't concerned about the status of their marriage right now, because they are currently going through counseling. They've attended numerous family events together right now, so they are all in. We have to, of course, talk about the job situation, because it's been a conversation all season. He tells her that he basically gave her a timetable that he will start applying for jobs. And they talk about what she said on the after party, when she was like, if he had about $40K in the bank, that would be cool. She said it wasn't so much about the number, but she wanted him to be stable and have savings if he was taking this amount of time off of work. So Kevin asks how big his bank account is, if he just has all this time to chill and not work. And in my mind, I'm thinking, Steve, you smart enough. Do not tell America how much money you are holding. Okay, that ain't nobody's business but y'all. But okay. He says, he basically reassured Noi that he was financially responsible. So he's basically saying, I showed her these accounts and that shut her right on up. Okay. He then tells us, he's had some investment that he's done. And he also said that he, I guess, finally eventually laid out a plan for her. And now she said she feels comfortable. And I'm like, yeah, you saw the zeros in the bank account. So now you're like, everything's good. I'm fine. We're working out just great. You ain't fooling us, Noi. So she said that right now she's a little bit flexible in the number of kids, she wants to have. She's not so stagnant on the 3, and they may start within the next year. They then show us a conversation that her sister Sriracha had with Steve. And at this point, y'all, although we didn't see this during the season, I just wanted Sriracha to shut up. Like, Sriracha constantly oversteps her boundaries and minds the business that does not pay her. And they just continue to let her, because they're like, that's just her. No, Sriracha needs to mind her damn business. And this right here ain't no business of hers. Okay? So they end up bringing her out, and it's, of course, the dramatics of it all with the red hair, the lashes, the rhinestones, the blue dress. Everything has to just be, on 1,000. She says that everything makes sense now. Their marriage is a little bit cute, but they still need to get to know each other, because they really don't know each other the way married couples supposed to. And they still need to learn how to effectively communicate, again, overstepping the boundaries, because I'm sure Noi has shared every bit of the information that is happening in their marriage, which you should never do that to your family. So she tells them that, they should, remember to feel the feels. Remember, just because you say things nicely and not in a condescending tone does not mean it's not condescending. And Steve was like, well, okay. The message of saying how you feel is probably for Noi, and the other message is probably for me. And he realizes that he could probably say things a bit better. I don't really necessarily have an issue the way Steve stated things throughout this season. I don't ever feel like personally he was condescending to Noi, but maybe that's just me. And I'm just thinking all this time, Sriracha is going to milk these 5 minutes of fame for everything that it is worth, honey. So Noi wraps it up with crying about the struggles of, her parents that we had to recap throughout the season. And she's like, they were okay and they made it through, me and Steve, we gonna be all right. Lastly, y'all, we have Mark and Lindsey. Save the best for last, huh? So Mark and Lindsey, come on out. Mark is looking real cute, y'all, now that he done slimmed down a little bit. His little green suit with his Chuck Taylors. I was like, okay, Mark the Shark, I see you. And then here comes Lindsey, who continues to dress like a 50-year-old soccer mom that, pulled out this dress that she wore, to her son's wedding last year. Like, this girl cannot dress for the life of her. Oh my God. Like, it's not, I don't want to give the impression that it's ugly, but it's just not youthful. Like, you pick mother of the bride dresses all the time, girl. Spruce it up and live a little. My goodness. So as soon as they sit down, in my opinion, Mark's face tells it all that they are no longer together. The minute Lindsey starts talking, he starts rolling those eyes and he is completely over it within the first 30 seconds. And I'm like, yep, this is over. They are definitely no longer together, honey. So Kevin asks about all the fights, and then Lindsey, keeps saying, she was done over and over throughout the season. He asks if that was a mistake. She says she really had a hard time understanding who he was because he was a different person on and off camera. Mark said that isn't true because she complains about when he wasn't on camera, he was really on his phone a lot. Mark says once he realized that was an issue and that bothered her, then he would put his phone away. Lindsey didn't seem to rebuttal it, so I'm left to believe that it is true, but she's, of course, still complained about it. He says he noticed her personality was a lot from the gate, and he realized that if he talked back a lot, then they would just end up hurting each other and just continue to go back and forth. He asks if, Kevin asks if they can own up to the parts they both played in the fights. Lindsey says yes, that, she said a lot of things she shouldn't have said, and she's really learned from it. Mark says that there were times when he could have spoken up a bit more. Kevin asks, well, why did they stay together? And Lindsey says, that he really supported her and they really felt like a team. Mark says really that last week gave a glimpse to what life could be with her. And again, like I said, on the decision day, that is not a good percentage. 1 week out of 8 weeks should not have been enough to tip the scale that you stay married. I'm sorry. It's just, y'all, what is that? Like 10%? What? And that was good enough for you to say yes. Okay. So he said if he said no and potentially lost someone that was good for him, he would have regretted that. So when asked if they are still together, Lindsey says, absolutely not. And when asked what happened, she says, well, where should we begin? He says that they started working on the house, and basically as they started working on the house, they started spiraling into these fights month after month, just fight after fight. It was really the worst experience he's ever had. She said that he told her as after she rented out her apartment that he didn't think it would work and that he was very heartless and told her she needed to leave. He said that when Lindsey tells a story, she does not tell it correctly. And he said that she got in his face based off of an IG post. And he said on top of that, she was really threatening and bullying him. I 100% believe Mark because we've seen Lindsey go at it and how reckless she can be with her mouth. Again, her dad warned us from day one. So for her to act like, oh, this is such a learning experience for me. You've been like this your whole life. Now, all of a sudden, watching yourself on TV, you've now had such great self-reflection and you're just like, I just learned so much. Okay, Lindsey. So as they continue to talk, we know based on past history, this is just going to go further downhill because it would not be Lindsey if she didn't pour more gasoline on the fire. Lindsey is asked if she realizes that she is a fire starter and if that was if she went too far with Mark, and she says, yeah, but I really need a strong man. Basically, I need a man that's going to keep me in check. She says before decision day, Mark told her that they were a family. They were staying together, them and all the dang on cats. But she didn't know that would only be for 7 days while she helped him reno his family home. She then has to read a letter because she lets us know she can, get, a little flustered with her thoughts. So she wanted to make sure her thoughts were clear and articulate. And she goes to read this letter and she does exactly what we knew Lindsey would do. She throws everything that she has ever done for him in his face and says that basically all the things that she has done and all the good things that has happened in his life is the magic of Lindsey. So she wants to take credit for basically where he is in his life at this very moment. the audacity that people have. Whoo, Lindsey. Mark says, just because you've done all these good things, it does not outweigh the terrible things you have done. And I completely agree. And Lindsey tends to think that, oh, I've done all these great and amazing things, so of course I'm at liberty to say terrible things to you because it just cancels out, because I've done all these good things over here that I can just be reckless with my mouth, and it shouldn't mean anything. It shouldn't make or break anything, right? Where they do that at? She says that Mark is influenced by his peers and really wants to make other people happy and not make her happy. Lindsey, let's just continue to blame Mark for everything and not take any responsibility for yourself. And I'm really sick of it at this point. She tells us that she's moved to San Francisco with a new job, and she really values intellect. And there are a great amount of intellectual people out in that area. So it's better pickings for a man in that area. Kevin asks if she realizes that was kind of a dig at Mark, and she's like, no. But then when asked if he has intellect, she says no. She says she is really smart, which is why she's dated a lot of engineers. So I guess kind of being the smartest person in this relationship was new and different for her. And she just really didn't know how to handle that. I don't know how to handle her. She gets on my nerves, y'all. So she says she's been dating and she has met someone that she likes. And I'm like, as soon as he watches this show, I'm sure that will change his mind. But, live your life, girl. Mark says right now he's just working and focusing on himself. He's just passed the firefighter test, so he's excited to get into that. And when asked if they will be friends, she says she has no desire to have him in her life. And Mark says, I just wish the best for her. And that's how the episode goes off this week. Y'all, these 2 hours for this first part of the reunion, completely exhausting. I wish I could say, while some of this was a shock, but the two couples that are now no longer together, I believe all of us called it that they shouldn't have even said yes on decision day. So y'all could have just saved us all of this and said no on decision day. And the two that we thought had the most potential of staying together, although they still didn't need to be together anyway, are still together, y'all. So next week it looks like part 2 brings on the experts actually sitting down with the couples and getting some feedback. So I'm really interested to hear what they have to say and how that's going to go, y'all. But I'm so excited. We are so close to season 14 being a complete wrap, y'all. But I'll be honest, when I saw that the next season starts July 6th, somebody had put it in the comments last week and I was like, are you kidding me? And when I saw the commercial for it, I was like, are you kidding? Can we get more than 6 weeks in between a seat? I think this is the only show I watch that new seasons come this quickly. To crank out these seasons so fast, child, they be racking up the ad revenue. That's all I can say at this point. Anyway, y'all, please drop your thoughts and comments in the comment section below so we can talk about the nonsense of part 1 of this reunion. We will definitely be back for part 2 next week, y'all, because this is a whole entire mess. And I just need to see all of this wrapped up and us move on with our life from this season. Okay, y'all? Thank you so much for checking in. That is all I have for y'all tonight. See y'all next week.